Tired of your ordinary, boring life in a red state? Why not visit California? California is a premium state with premium ideas. We've got the highest housing prices, gas, and taxes of any state. And more is always better. Come see our breathtaking beaches, our majestic, mostly peaceful forests, or come to see a family-friendly Dodger game. There are always plenty of free campsites. And the best part, you can go to the bathroom anywhere you want. No questions asked. Want to meet new people? We've got you covered. With a huge wave of illegal immigrants coming over the border each and every day. Hola, senors. Diversity is our L strength, though. You may have heard it's expensive here, but not to worry. Try a smash and grab. We won't stop you. We've got everything the red states have. Well, except for water and electricity and fresh air. Oh, and there's a lot of traffic. But hey, you might meet a real movie star or even Kirk Cameron. So come on down to a state where the possibilities are endless. And so are the taxes and crime and cost of living and regulations and woke nonsense in schools and blackouts and the brownouts and the wildfires and the earthquakes and the sewage spills, and the droughts, and much more. California, a little taste of America's future.
Somewhere in the city that defined holiday magic is a man who wants a little eggnog with his mistletoe. And that guy would like to carol you. Featuring the musical stylings of Mel Tunney and the Dream in Color Singers. Just ahead tonight, she is an independent woman putting America before everything else. Carrie Sheffield. Paul Benne, security expert, weighs in on the attack of the drones. Hilton Beckham with the America First policy people. Sketch comedy from Dude Dad and the Baroness Vaughn sketch. And in the spotlight, it's Ed Sheeran. And now, from Times Square, a man who would like to be remembered for much more than just the data that the drones stole from him. Here's the Chatman.
So you think you're pretty funny, Dave, because you're making fun of the yes. But you know what? You're not, because there are people freaking out about this everywhere. It's absolutely repulsive how people have responded to this. Welcome to the weekend. Glad you're with us. Hope you're not being videotaped or mind zapped or body lifted or whatever else these things are doing. It started about a month ago here in New Jersey, and yet here it is a month later, and it's happening more and more. You got reports down from Maryland. You got one from the Philadelphia area. Now, admittedly, Maryland and Delaware aren't that far from New Jersey. Philadelphia is just over the border from New Jersey. There was one spotted in Connecticut yesterday. That's not that far from New Jersey, and now they've seen them in Westchester, New York. But basically, if you're in the New Jersey radius, for some reason, things are flying through the sky that nobody knows about. And if you want to see, look, at first, a month ago, I was like, oh, whatever, something's flying through. Someone flew their drone through the sky. Oh, what's your big deal? That's not the thing anymore. Because now everybody is seeing them, everybody is videotaping them, and you've got yahoos that are in the federal government who go on Martha McCallum, who really suffers no fools, and they say stuff like this idiot, John Kirby. What?
People were unhappy with that comment that you made yesterday and felt like you were, telling people that they were nuts or that they didn't know what they were seeing with their own eyes.
No, not at all, Martha. That's the farthest thing that I would ever do. I was simply reiterating what the FBI and what the Department of Homeland Security have relayed to us about what they've been able to corroborate. And we haven't been able to corroborate everything. I said many of the corroborated sightings have turned out to be piloted aircraft. I didn't say all of them, and what I said was those are the ones we were able to corroborate. There's certainly ones that we have not been able to, and we don't know the answer to it. And I strongly recommend that for folks that are seeing these things and documenting them to share that as they can with Department of Homeland Security and the FBI.
All right, well, let's do that. Let's share it with you right now. Let's put up this photo. This is the close-up one. Here we go. This is in Bernardsville, New Jersey. So, John, are you able to see this photo?
No, ma'am.
You don't have a monitor there?
No, actually, I turned the monitor off. It distracts me, so I didn't see it.
All right. Well, you'll have to take a look at it after, but I can describe it to you. It is large. It has a white bar that goes through the middle. The right-hand side is half lit up white on the top and red on the bottom. The other side is green. So what would that, you're a former military person yourself. You're an admiral. You're the White House National Security Communications advisor. I'm sure you have seen some of these images. So what is that we're looking at?
It's difficult for me to tell you, Martha. We don't really know. It is possible that some of these things could be commercial drones, developed for commercl purposes. It's possible that they could be owned by private citizens.
But why don't we know, John? That's the point. Why doesn't the United States government know? It seems silly. I mean, it feels a lot like the Chinese spy balloon. It was like, oh, we don't know. It's not a problem. Then we watched it go all the way across the country, and we kept hearing, we're not really sure where it came from until we saw it popped and, floated down over the ocean.
That's not quite how it went. We were very honest with the American people.
Bingo and on par for Martha McCallum. Good for her. Nailing John Kirby to the wall. You're going to treat this. You're going to say, first of all, you have the guts to tell we, the American people who felt lied to nearly every day of your administration, that you told us the truth about the Chinese spy balloon. You have the gall to say that you were honest with us about that? What are you smoking? I can't understand how someone who serves in the public service can look at what happened there and come back to us and say, and with straight face, well, we really did. We were straight honest with the American. No, you weren't. And it wasn't until we did get a lot more data on it and understand what it was, leaked in various ways to the public, that you were even willing to tell us the truth. And you let that thing go across our country unmolested the entire time it was here, parking itself over a lot of our sensitive sites. What type of absolute moron do you take us for? This is why we voted your backside out in November. And you can't get out of here fast enough as far as most of us are concerned. But having said that, so we're supposed to take the word of that guy there who's a supposed, he's not supposed, he served his country in uniform, he's a retired admiral, and he's, chief communications officer for President what's-his-name, who literally doesn't know his own name. And you have to sit here and you have to measure, what is he telling us? And yeah, he's smooth with the words and he tries to polish it all over and make it all look good. But the fact is, we still have SUV-sized aircraft flying over the most populous state in the United States, snapping what kind of data up from us, who knows? And they don't know what it is. We're supposed to believe that with a straight face. Well, I'm going to dig on it for you a little bit tonight. We've got a security expert that's going to join us, and drone detection and analyzation happens to be one of the expertise of this particular expert. Paul Benne is his name, of Sentinel Consulting. But friends, what better understanding do you have to have of the current administration than for them to be knowing, and our FAA and our military control our sovereign airspace. We can track a drone that takes off in Tehran and tries to drop payload in Tel Aviv. From this side of the planet, we can see that. We can trace when it takes off. We can trace when it supposedly wants to drop its load or land or wherever else. We can chase that thing all over the universe and shoot it down if we want to. What kind of garbage is our government giving us here in the final days of the Biden administration? They think that this, we don't really know what it is going to fly. Literally. No, it's not. And good for the American people posting their own videos all over social media. And you need to be ringing Congress saying, what is your problem? 202-224-3121. We deserve answers. These aren't fixed wing aircraft. These are not airplanes. They don't exhibit the traits of helicopters. Someone's flying stuff very close to our people. It looks like for the duration and the time that they're up there that they're doing something, that they have some sort of mission. The American people are owed an answer. 202-224-3121. Call your senator, call your congressman, and demand that they get to the bottom of this. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. We are also in the final stages, friends. We've got 18 ladies that we have not helped get liberated from Sudan this year that we said we would. We're at 190 slaves liberated with 18 to go. We need your help. Please go to bringherhome.org and make a difference in a woman's life that only you can make. No one else can do it. 888-342-1010 or bringherhome.org. Coming right back, Kevin McCullough.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. It's Kevin McCullough. It is that fabulous time of year that we have between, Thanksgiving and New Year's, and we're getting ready for the Christmas holidays. And if you celebrate something else, happy or merry, whatever that is as well. But for me, it's Merry Christmas. And I just hope that you are not offended by that. It's a good thing. It's a joyous thing. We've got a lot coming up on tonight's show yet. We're going to talk the drones. Have you seen the drones? They're coming all over the place. I've got neighbors throughout the tri-state that are now filming them, and it's not just stuff you're seeing on TV. Like I've got actual footage of people who saw it from their backyard. We're going to talk to an expert coming up. But first, I want to talk about this concept of this kind of lame duck period of the year where you have senators who, by Edmund Burke's definition, may be doing something harmful to the country because they're not showing up to take votes that they're supposed to. And that might allow the Biden administration to actually put some people in kind of more long-lasting bureaucratic positions than we want. Here to discuss is Carrie Sheffield of the Independent Women's Forum, one of 50 groups that are opposing this practice of not showing up for work. Carrie's also the author of Motorhome Prophecies, and we are glad to welcome her back. Longtime contributor here at That Kevin Show. Hello, Carrie. Merry Christmas.
Hey, That Kevin. How are you? Merry Christmas.
We're hanging in there, and just be glad you're not in the New York area permanently. You won't have to be bothered by the drones, but we're going to get into that a little bit later in the hour. What is this that's going on with senators not showing up to vote, and what does it matter if they don't do their job?
Well, there are a few senators who are, I get it. It's the end of the year. People are in holiday mode, so they aren't necessarily wanting to dig in and do the battles that need to be done. However, we did actually have a great victory this week, and I'm quite proud of our work at Independent Women's Forum because we signed with, as you mentioned, this big coalition where we're pressuring the senators to show up, and it paid off. And in fact, Vice President-elect Vance flew up from Palm Beach specifically to take a vote this week. And we're very happy about the outcome because previously Senator Vance had said something that, apparently I believe it's 8 of Biden's judicial nominees have been just shepherded through without opposition from the Republicans. And Senator Vance made the argument, well, were they just going to win by one more vote or the opposition lose by one more vote? Well, in this case, the Republicans, every Republican showed up and was able to get 2 Democrats or people who caucus with the Democrats, Manchin and Sinema, to vote with the Republicans to block a terrible nominee. And so it went down, and we had filed with 2 different coalitions at Independent Women's Forum against this nominee. She's spectacularly bad. Lauren McFerrin is her name. She ran the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which does a lot of important things. And if you have the wrong leadership, it ruins the economy, it ruins employment, it ruins independent contractors. So anybody watching, if you're an independent contractor, Biden's person was going to be up for a term, and this term would have really ruined the Trump administration's ability to get things done, because it's an appointment that outlasts the party. So theoretically, Trump could have fired her. And I honestly think he had great reason to, in part because the Inspector General for the NLRB actually identified just terrible lapses in leadership at the NLRB. So he could have fired her for that. But it would have been one more kind of political chit that he would have had to cash in. Well, now he doesn't have to. And so they did show up to vote. She was defeated. And now Trump can name an excellent leader there.
You know, we haven't, of all of the issues that the election was decided on, you know, which were 5 or 6 really, really big ones that were the main things that people thought about. But there was a long list of impact that these elections were going to have outcomes that directly affected. And one of them was the NRLB. They've had scandal there. They've had problems going back for a while. And it seemed as though the Biden administration was just didn't have any gumption at all to do anything about it. I'm hopeful that the Trump-Vance administration will come in and really clean that up, because, as you said, that does impact a lot of things. The independent contractor, the gig economy, that was something that for some reason the Biden administration thought was evil and wanted to try to ruin it as much as they could, even force similar to being fully employed type of standards on people that do work gigs, babysitting and music and, things where you're only taking a job that's, on occasion. So this is a hugely vital area that I hope that they give a lot of attention to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing attention to it, because, so there's, for example, the joint employer rule, which would, McFerrin was pushing it and the Biden administration lost in court about it. But basically, it would force franchisees, so independent mom and pop stores who want to have a franchise, to glom everybody together, and it creates a lot of problems. It makes things a lot more expensive and bureaucratic. And yes, like you mentioned, the independent contracting, in particular, women are a lot more likely to desire flexibility in employment and workplace. They value flexibility over higher compensation or more hours worked, because they want to caregive. They want a mother. They have maybe an older parent. And so to be anti-woman, which is the argument I like to make for Joe Biden when it comes to labor policy, that's, as you mentioned, that's the economy and inflation were 2 top issues why Trump won. And so I'm really pleased to see that they took this seriously, that the Republicans came out, and also that these 2 independent-minded Democrats did the right thing.
Are there any other problematic nominees that they're still trying to push through before the end of the year that senators need to be there for?
Well, they've been doing this treadmill of judicial nominees, and unfortunately, the Republicans, it's been harder for them to convince Sinema and Manchin, and Angus King also has been more independent-minded. So I think they have less leverage there, but maybe with this victory this week, they could kind of piggyback off of that. In terms of other branches, stay tuned.
Well, I hope that they will take the judicial nominees seriously. That was one of Trump's biggest legacies of his first term. More than 300 judiciary nominees put forward and gotten on the bench, both at the appellate and Supreme Court levels. And so we're really grateful for that. Carrie Sheffield, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being with us this week.
Thank you, Kevin. God bless.
And this real quick reminder, speaking of independent women, we still have 18 women that we have not liberated in our 208 slave liberation attempt for this year. And my friends at Christian Solidarity International are very intent on trying to liberate all 208. Will you go to the phone and help us right now? 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. We've liberated 190 women so far, but the list had 208 names on them, and I just don't want to leave a single one of these 18 behind before the end of the year. And we can get them home for Christmas. There's a liberation just around the corner. We can give them their freedom for the rest of their life, but we need your help. 888-342-1010. You can also go to bringherhome.org for more info. Bringherhome.org, bringherhome.org, or 888-342-1010. 888-342-1010.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next. That Kevin Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Thank you, friend, for being there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for paying attention. And thank you for caring. One of the things that I love about this season is that we get to kind of concentrate on the important stuff. And I know a lot of people thought the election was important. Hey, I gave it the best I could for 4 years. And you know what? God saw fit that Donald Trump's going to lead us for the next 4 years. So that's the direction that he wants us to go. I'm okay with that. If you've listened to my show, you know that I'm okay with that. But whether you were or not, what we're talking about right now is really important. So I'd appreciate it if you'd kind of lean in a little bit to what we're telling you. We're telling you about the stories of young girls who have had their lives robbed from them. Literal human slavery. You think it doesn't exist on the planet anymore. You know, we've had abolition movements. Everything's been set free, right? No. There are more people in slavery today on planet Earth than ever in human history. And in the 18 countries that my friends at Christian Solidarity International work in, there's a form of slavery in most of them. So we are on the front lines trying to do all that we can to say, hey, this is wrong and we need to do something about it. The kind of most prominent place that they're at work is in Sudan. Sudan and South Sudan got divvied up as new countries at the end of the Sudanese Civil War. What happened there was the world governments got involved and negotiated the end, and they left all the slaves in northern Sudan. 185,000 at its peak is how many northern Sudan had in custody in slave masters' households there. That through the CSI, slave liberation progress has been reduced to about 35, maybe 40,000 that are left. But every year there are several hundred that we have the chance to identify, negotiate the release of, and get out of there. And that's what we're doing this year. 208 names is where we started. And we have about 3 or 4 dozen to go before the end of the year. And I'm asking you to help us by just taking one name off the list. It's a $250 gift. And when you do, they receive everything they need to start their life over again. And that's really important when they get to South Sudan, because the new life has just started at that point. Todd Chatman is back with me from CSI. And Todd, these women, when they are liberated, there seems to be a couple of things that are consistent in their stories. One, everyone's been treated inhumanely and grotesquely horrible. Like there's just nothing about their life in slavery that has been admirable at all. They've been ritualistically raped by their slave masters. Some of the slave masters give the slaves to business associates or their sons or other people to just use on occasion. Imagine just being treated as like, a bath towel. That's kind of the way these slave masters think of these women. That they're just, just a component of their life that they can just loan to people. In that process, they are verbally abused many times by those that are sexually abusing them. But then in addition to that, you've got the slave masters' wives that are jealous and angry and ticked off with them because the husband does things with them. So you've got, there's no relief when they're in slavery. It's just constant oppression and constant subjugation and constant abuse on every level. And that's what makes the CSI program so important. Explain how it works real quickly for people that have not been with us before.
Yeah, so sure. So we have what we call slave retrievers, and they are just constantly on the lookout, go roaming to and fro, I suppose you would say, looking for slaves and seeking to liberate them. And so the way that we do that is many of the slave owners today they're in the cattle business. And we, in the interest of not creating a greater market for this slavery activity, we never pay cash for the release of a slave. Instead, we negotiated with these cattle farmers, these cattle ranchers, to provide them with a vaccine that is very difficult for them to procure, but it inoculates their cattle against common diseases that can wipe out their herds. And so our slave retrievers, they do the negotiating, and then they will work out the release of one of the slaves. We bring them down into kind of holding camps for a season till we've got a group of them together. And then about 5 times a year, we have a big freedom march, for lack of a better term, where we just march all of these women and now kids. We're able to affect the release of children whenever possible now, which is awesome. We weren't able to do that for a long time. Yeah. And so they march, and it takes days for them to march back into South Sudan. And then we have an entire facility set up there where we render medical aid and counseling. We capture their stories, document them, and we set them up temporarily for a place where they can build a new life and a new community. And then we set about trying to find their families and reunite them. So
we're trying to give them the best Christmas ever. 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010, 888-342-1010. Or if you're like me, online's easier, bringherhome.org. Bringherhome.org. We're trying to bring her home.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next. That Kevin Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. Well, as promised, there's this big story that's going on in the Garden State, and I have friends from all over that state that over the last 48, 72 hours a week have been sending me footage, and it's looked kind of, like something you see on the cover of the National Enquirer, something, sketchy footage with lights, and you don't know what they are. But there's enough people now that are seeing them all over the state of New Jersey that I thought it's time to get some analysis of this. So we're talking about the drones that are rumored to be rather large, flying all over one state in particular. Paul Benne, the founder of Sentinel Consulting, is with us. And Paul, you've talked to us about security issues before. Security is one of it's your expertise. It's what you are most steeped in. And you're joining us from your command center. And you've been following this, at least that I know of, for the last couple of nights. What do we know about what is happening in the skies over some pretty, harmless towns in New Jersey?
Well, Kevin, thanks for having me on to discuss this. I think it's important to note that in the Northeast, we have an extremely congested airspace. There are aircraft of all sizes flying in every direction possible. So when you look up at the night sky, most people aren't acclimated to looking up at the night sky. But now the attention has been called there. And what they're seeing is an enormous amount of air traffic. With that said, we've also been monitoring, and our mobile command vehicle has drone detection equipment in it. And the way our drone detection systems work is that they look for the radio frequency that comes off of typical drones. And that allows us to identify where it is, where it's flying, where the pilot is. This is not happening. We are not getting indications from RF signals. Therefore, you have to rely on radar. Now, we did also visually monitor the night sky in northern New Jersey, and we did see multiple aircraft flying that were not characteristic of winged aircraft. And so that leads me to believe, would this be a helicopter? But the sustained flight, the duration of the flight, and the characteristics of the lighting were not that of helicopters. So it would then lead us to believe that it's some type of unmanned aerial aircraft.
So that's a mouthful to explain, but you did a very good job of it. If it's not a normal drone that's throwing off an RF signal of some sort, what is your inclination? First of all, are these normal drone sizes? I mean, consumers own drones and they fly around. And, you know, our village had a tree lighting a couple of weeks ago and they had drones flying in and out, taking pictures of the big gathering of people. We do live in the age of drones. But there's rumors in some of these news stories that these things are the size of cars or SUVs. Like, what do you know about how big they are?
Yeah. And from what we observed, we are observing larger aircraft. Look, the commercially available drones, the consumer drones, they're very small. And in fact, they're very difficult to see at distance. So for people to be able to spot these with the naked eye, they have to be sizable. Now, when you talk about commercially available drones, these are ones that are used for different purposes, such as agriculture or scanning buildings and doing thermal studies. They are larger commercially available drones. They are not what we're seeing. What we're seeing, their duration of flight, the distance that these vehicles are covering, and the size that we're able to actually see are not characteristic of consumer or commercially available drones.
Okay, this leads me to some very uncomfortable questions because our airspace is sovereign. Our military, our security forces should be able to, and we normally do, shoot down things that pose as a menacing force in our sky, especially if it has the power to do damage. What is the government saying? What is law enforcement saying? What is the FBI, CIA, whoever? What are they saying about what this is?
There's some very capable hands in the government, and they're not going to release statements that are going to be misleading or misdirecting. So they're going to want to really confirm information before they put it out to the public. I can tell you that typically they're going to be looking at a lot of information, radar data, ground-based data, that is going to help them validate what they're seeing. It is perfectly legal to fly a drone under 55 pounds and be compliant with the FAA. So there are nighttime flight rules, there are line of sight flight rules, and all of these things still apply. But someone could be potentially flying one of these drones, one of these aircraft, and be compliant with the FAA and not have the scrutiny of. But
then why wouldn't the FAA come out and say, nothing to worry about here. We know exactly what this is. This is a consumer drone, and just put everybody's mind at ease. Like the fact that. Know. Well, and that's a bigger problem, because if we can trace an Iranian drone taking off from Tehran as it's making its way to Tel Aviv, and we can see it from stem to stern, we can't do that on our own shore?
Yeah. And, that is a problem. And look, the technology that's out there, when you look at the technology that's used to track commercial air flight, these radar systems are tuned to track aircraft the size of either small or large planes. They're not tuned to track these small drones. And even when you're talking about something the size of a car, in terms of aircraft, that is still small. And so the typical systems that the FAA would use to track flight patterns and aircraft in a geographic area are not the same type of equipment that's needed to track drone activity in an area.
I better hope against hope that the military knows what this stuff is and has the ability to figure it out and sense it and take care of it if it's necessary. But it is freaking people out all over the state of New Jersey. And Paul Benne of Sentinel Consulting, so glad that you're able to shed a little bit of light on this for us. If people want more info about your services, and by the way, your mobile command centers are mobile for a reason. You actually do a lot of big time security for events and other things. And if people had questions about that, sentinelgroup.us to be in touch with Paul and his team. Kevin McCullough, Paul, thank you.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.
That Kevin Show.
It up, KD. That sounds good right there. Don't mess this up. It's in there. Let's go. Like that.
Hey! Somewhere in the city that defines holiday magic is a man who wants a little eggnog with his mistletoe. And that guy would like to carol you. Featuring the musical stylings of Mel Tunney and the Dream in Color Singers. Still to come, this hour, sketch comedy from Dude Dad and the Baroness of Sketch. A little bit later, Hilton Beckham putting America first. And back in the spotlight, it's Ed Sheeran and Sir Elton.
Christmas time.
And now, from Times Square, a man by definition who does not belong in something called the soft guy era. Here's
Thank you, Dave. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because this new survey came out this week. I don't know if you saw it. Why do women get the ick? Soft guys. Soft guys who can't talk to real people and sit around and play with AI all day. That's what they do. Anyway, here, time to get to the news. For Assignment Desk Weekend, I'm Kevin McCullough. For nearly a full month, unidentifiable aircraft have been hovering above New Jersey nightly, leading aviation, military, and national security experts to scratch their heads. The aircraft do not appear to have traceable transmissions and are estimated to be the size of large SUVs. Public agencies insist there is no danger, but the citizens of the Garden State seem to think that this is more like a real-life scene from something resembling Independence Day, the movie, where Bill Paxton and Will Smith when we need them. Assignment Desk Weekend has also discovered one odd fella on Instagram had a novel approach to try to solve the problem. Just shoot them out of the sky. That guy's nuts. Restaurant workers in the District of Columbia are claiming they will make Trump officials feel unwelcomed should they attempt to eat at their respective restaurants and cafes in the new administration. In response to which, the other 80% of eateries immediately had signs produced proclaiming MAGA-friendly dining. After making their protestations public, the 5 restaurant employees quoted in the article are now looking for new employment. In response to President-elect Trump's supposed threat of tariffs on Canadian imports, Justin Trudeau, soon to be the governor of the 51st U.S. state called Canada, claimed he will cut off energy exports to the U.S. When told the news, Assignment Desk Weekend has learned that Trump and his inner circle debated fiercely in between guffaws of laughter over who would get to tell Trudeau what he didn't obviously know, that the U.S. has more energy than any nation on the planet at present, especially thanks to the non-harvesting of the energy approach that the last 4 years have brought about. A body language expert has been hired to decipher the meaning of the body language of the Ivy League killer. Assignment Desk Weekend would like to volunteer our analysis. We think it's very sophisticatedly means something like this. I did it. And finally, 'tis the season for some Biden Christmas trolling. Here's the First Lady from the White House.
So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy. Because I think we all need we all need to feel joy now during this time of the season, during this time. So anyway, okay, now I'll start. You're all reading into that.
Oh, read into it we did. For a Simon Desk Weekend, I'm Kevin McCullough.
Hey, babe, let's put up the Christmas lights this weekend.
Not this weekend. I got a lot going on. 1 week later.
All right, babe. Putting the lights up this weekend?
Oh, we could, but I was thinking that maybe we would take the kids downtown to that thing, the family stuff downtown. 1 week later. Okay. Oh, where are the Christmas lights? Oh! Hey, babe, you'll never guess what I found in the attic. You remember from that rodeo we went to? I mean, you remember what we did underneath the bleachers, right? It's crazy to think he's 6 now.
Babe.
Yeah.
Christmas lights.
Yeah, I'll put up the lights. I'm on it. Yeehaw! Christmas lights. Oh, this thing is a death trap. Come on, get out of there. Oh, babe. All right. Here's the lights. Gosh. Who put these away? Oh, it was me on Memorial Day. That was close. Oh, haven't been up here in a while. Just shake them. Come on. Yeah, look at that. Only like 4,000 to go.
Looking good, babe. Did you test them, though?
Of course I checked to make sure they all work. Check the lights. My lights work. Crap. Let's plug them in. Oh, okay. Nope. That was close. Come on. Got it. I need a beer.
Hey, neighbor.
Hey, Pen. House is looking good.
Yeah, we add a few strands every year.
Jeez. Are your lights animating the music?
You know it, buddy. Hey, did you see the inflatables in our side yard? We got a few extra if you need some help with your yard.
No. I don't need any help over here. We're just getting started.
All right, Merry Christmas, buddy. Kim, where's those crystal deer?
Stupid Pen singing his stupid little jingles. Merle, I need you to upgrade my electrical panel. 300 amps. Oh, lights. I need lights. Oh, that's pretty slick. Oh, nope. Focus. You mess with me, you feel the wrath. Ho, ho, ho. Backstitch. Perfect. My house is gonna be so full of joy. My house is gonna be brighter than Biden's teeth. I hate you, pen holderness. 3, 2, 1.
Nice work, babe.
Thanks, babe. But you know what? I realized something when I fell off the roof today. Christmas isn't about putting up Christmas lights or eating a ton of Christmas cookies or buying a bunch of presents for each other. All those things are just a reason for us to get to spend time together. That's what Christmas is really about.
Hey, Taylor, you got a couple of lights out there on the...
Shut up, Pen. Hey, babe, why don't we just mount them up on the top of the roof in one big ball, and it'll be like the star that the shepherds followed to find the baby Jesus. Reason for the season, babe.
Yay! Here we go. Okay. Just one quick thing. Santa has had a bit of a tough year, but I want you to know that he has made you something really, really special. Okay? It's just that sometimes life, well, it just happens. There's a lot going on for Santa right now. I mean, between the downsizing of the North Pole and then the divorce, that's...
Santa divorced Mrs. Claus?
Okay, technically it's a separation. So, yeah, Santa's so much happier now, and Santa doesn't need to be with anyone. Santa doesn't need to date. Santa actually likes being alone, and maybe Santa should book that all-inclusive to Cuba. And you know what? Everybody needs to stop talking about it. Yip, yip, it's all anyone is talking. Oh, hold on. Oh my God, Santa.
You just can't be alone right now.
I was just talking about you. Come in. It's okay. It's okay. I filled her in. She knows everything. This is a safe space. You get to be yourself, okay?
Christmas time, here we go. That Kevin Show.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back to Times Square. It's That Kevin Show. Even in the Christmas season, we're trying to still stay on top of all of the, more interesting, juicy tidbits of news that are going to impact your life in the days and weeks to come. And in recent days, the Trump administration has been working very, very hard. A lot of people don't realize this. Donald Trump has arranged private funding. I think he's put a lot of money into it. Maybe some donors have as well, to have his transition team already working on preparing to make policy and institutional changes in government the minute that it gets in. Here to discuss is America First Policy Institute's own Hilton Beckham. She's the communications director there and doing a great job. Hilton, over the last 4 years, you know that I've become a huge fan of AFPI and what you guys are doing. And I think one of the reasons that 47 is going to be able to hit the ground running is because a lot of you in the America First movement just never stopped working on the issues that affect Americans every single day.
Yeah, the hustle has been real the past 4 years. We basically, when Trump left the White House, we kept this America First drumbeat going because we knew how much Americans wanted that back. And we've been working on the policies, we've been working on the messaging and really reminding Americans that it doesn't have to be this way, the way the Biden administration made our economy and our border and, our standing around the world. So we've kept this drumbeat up.
On this level, because on social media, it's very interesting to see longtime people that have had some, dismay with the direction government's been going. And they're seeing appointments like Kash Patel. They're seeing appointments like Elon Musk. They're seeing appointments like Lee Zeldin at EPA. And they're saying these are really quality people. They've got a lot of experience in the area that they're going to be working on. And they're very, very excited. And simultaneously, you're literally seeing the shrews, the women on The View, the Joy Behars, the Jen Psaki's, all the people that are kind of the chattering class. And they are literally melting down, saying it defies all norms, as if norms are supposed to be like what we measure a presidency by, just, whatever the norms are.
Yeah, I think it's they're looking for the DC verified, the people that are approved by the swamp, that are approved by the status quo. And then they always talk about people like The View and people who have, these DC elitists always talk about the qualifications that Trump's nominees don't have, apparently. When they have someone like Pete Buttigieg, who was known as Pothole Pete when he was the mayor in Indiana, and he was put in as transportation. And And what about the I don't even know what it is, the they, them at the Department of Energy, who was the cross-dressing, luggage-stealing person who was put in charge of nuclear matters at the Department of Energy? No one said a peep about their qualifications to be in the Biden administration. So, whenever they say that we're not qualified or they point fingers at our shortcomings, they're really just pointing fingers at themselves.
Well, and that's one of the things as we are walking through these appointments and trying to see how to deal with all of the challenges that are going to be in front of us in the days and weeks to come. It is through those really unique kind of gifted people. I mean, you have Bernie Sanders this last weekend saying Elon Musk is right about the Department of Defense. They failed 7 audits in a row. I said on my radio show this week, to fail one audit with taxpayer money, and that doesn't mean you've spent more than you've taken in. It means that you literally don't know where the money went and can't account for it. That should never be a standard that's acceptable. And if we have rabble-rousers or troublemakers that are going to go in there and demand that we actually track where the money went, how do the American people lose on that end of it?
I mean, they don't. But that's the thing. And I used to work at the Department of Defense. And it's just mind-blowing that in every other aspect of life, in every other corporation or whatnot throughout America, there's always accountability. Like if there is a shortcoming, if money is lost, someone's getting fired, someone's getting reprimanded, something's happening. But it just seems it's never that way when it comes to our own government. It's just print more money or, just give someone a slap on the wrist and keep going. Don't rock the boat. That seems what the status quo has always been. And that's why people love that Donald Trump's coming in, a real businessman, a real shark, in the real estate industry. And he understands business. He's bringing another businessman in, Elon Musk, who knows what the cost is when you waste money, when you waste time, when you waste resources.
All of their money in the private sector by taking companies and making them lean. That's where he and Vivek have thrived, which is, again, you just go down this list where people have been appointed in this administration. It's all in areas of their strength. And it's going to be one of those things where if we don't get stuff done now, it's never going to get done because you won't have the same type of fire charged, shots ready to go off. And right now it feels like everybody's at the starting line just waiting for the gun. The second that the administration, the millisecond his hand comes off that Bible, I feel like there's going to be 2,000 executive orders repealed and it's go time.
Well, yeah, because we know what went wrong. We've been seeing it for the past 4 years. And people that work under Trump, this was the saying in his previous administration, we work on Trump time. There's just no excuse for bureaucracy under Donald Trump. You get things done now. You make a promise, you follow through on it. And that's why I know the people he's picked, they're being put to work now because we also know Donald Trump's not afraid to fire people, and he will fire people the second that they fail.
I want to talk about one appointment in particular, and it raised some eyebrows, and even some people in Congress said, I don't know about this, but Kash Patel, seasoned lawyer and one of the main investigators that uncovered and connected all the dots for the Russia collusion case. I mean, this is really remarkable when now he's going to be overseeing the very people that he was having to kind of expose and uncover previously.
Yeah. I think you just said the perfect word. The next 4 years with Kash Patel, if he is nominated or goes through confirmation, it's just going to be exposing, really going to be exposing all these cases, especially how much they've gone after Donald Trump, exposing the hand of the Biden regime and how, hopefully uncovering all these lies as we've seen with the Hunter Biden thing, how much he lied about that. And now he's gone back on it, but just exposing all the lies that we've been told for the past 4 years that we were crazy to call out for. And so I'm really excited. I know Kash isn't going to be shaken by the status quo. He's going to dismantle it.
I even thought it was kind of cool. His dad put up on social media a little note about how proud he was of his son, who had worked in his family business at first and then made his way up to FBI director. It's going to be amazing. And there's going to be a need for a strong FBI and a trustworthy FBI going forward, because we've got terror threats. We've got other things that we've got to keep our eye on. The bouncing ball doesn't stop, but if you don't have reliable people following that bouncing ball to start with, you're going to be in much bigger trouble. She's Hilton Beckham. I'm Kevin McCullough. We're coming right back from Times Square. Please don't go away.
Christmas time, here we go. That Kevin
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back. It's Kevin McCullough. It's Times Square. It is the most festive time of year. That's why we're celebrating Christmas all month long, and I hope that you'll keep hanging with us. It's going to get even more fun as we get closer to the big day. And I've got an update on how many slaves you've actually helped liberate in Sudan this year from Christian Solidarity International, so don't go anywhere. I want to make sure you know how close we are to hitting that goal. 208 human beings is what we started the year out trying to liberate. How close we will be, I will tell you momentarily. Hilton Beckham is back with me. We're talking about some of the big stories of recent lore. And Hilton, a lot of people came out hard on Joe Biden the day after he said that he was going to pardon Hunter. Now, I've got a lot of strong feelings about this on kind of multiple levels. One, I don't think anybody thought that he wasn't going to pardon him. Like, if you actually believed all of the stuff that Karine Jean-Pierre and Biden had said forever, that he wasn't going to, I never believed it for a second. But and then there's all these polls that people have done on social media. I know you've seen some of them. You know, would you pardon your own child? Blah blah blah. And as a dad of 4 kids, 3 that still live in the house, I know that I'm just too human. I'm a sinner, saved by grace. I'm too much of a human being to say that if I had the power to do that I wouldn't do it as well. So I'm not trying to play holier than thou on anybody. I think the American people, 2 things. One, would have probably not been okay with him just saying all along, yeah, I'm going to pardon him. Like, if he just came out and said it like a year ago or 2 years ago, I don't think that would have gone down well. And I think there would have been a lot of pushback, and I think it would have made a mess that he didn't want to clean up. So I think if you're the Biden people, the strategy was lie to the American people the entire time and then just, clear him at the end. I don't really have a problem with Hunter even getting pardoned, given some of the people that Obama and Clinton pardoned, terrorists that actually killed people and burned buildings down and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to beat up even on Hunter, and I don't like him. I don't want him to be an example for my kid. But I think that lying to the American people all that time, all those sound bites, I mean, the day after he does it, there's a litany of 12 different press conferences that Karine Jean-Pierre held, and she said, we've already addressed this. It's not going to happen. I mean, this is the kind of stuff for, trying to keep my language clean, that the American people voted out and got really fed up with on November 5th.
Yeah, I mean, we all have a heart, in a sense, for Joe Biden right now. And I know he's done some horrible things the past 4 years and pretty much dismantled our security and our economy.
I don't even know if he knew he was doing it. I mean, I think it was the Obama team.
It was elder abuse at best, But we, especially these past few months, the way he got pushed out, the way he looked like he was a pity invite to the Kamala campaign stops, everything looks bad. So I think we would have had a little bit. Then he invited Trump to the White House and shook his hand and said, we're going to make this place spiffy and spotted. The hearts were softening a tad bit. I think we could all say that towards Joe Biden. But it's just the shamelessness of their hypocrisy, how they come out. And if he had just said, I have a heart for my son. I love my son. I'm pardoning him. Okay, whatever. We all knew you were going to do it to begin with. But to turn it around and basically say the justice system has been weaponized against him.
Whose justice system?
His justice,
whose department?
Exactly. Like the very, and then for their talking points for the past however many years is no one is above the law.
Right.
And then he comes out and he does this very thing. It's the hypocrisy. It's rules for thee, but not for me mentality that just does the Democrats in.
Yeah. And on this, democracy's in danger. Well, okay, you run a candidate that didn't even receive votes. Like nobody voted for her, but she got to be the candidate. You're running as no one's above the law, and yet your
all
son's
above
clearly
the law.
above the law.
Yeah.
And you're afraid that maybe Trump won't let him get away with it. And again, look, it's a gun charge. I grew up in the South. I know lots of people that had guns they weren't supposed to have. Like there's all kinds of discussions about the specifics of the case and how serious it was and how that kind of juxtaposes to, and I'm not kidding, literally Obama with Bill Ayers and the Clinton team with all those Puerto Rican terrorists, they literally let people back out on the street or be cleared of charges that had killed fellow Americans, blown up buildings, like done really bad stuff. And they let them walk. And it's only so that people got upset about it. Some people did at the time. But to me, the crime wasn't the big deal. It was just the incessant lying the whole time. And I think I said on my show for most of the last 4 years, he's going to pardon him. They're just lying to us. Hilton Beckham, always appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much, Kevin.
You got it. Kevin McCullough coming back to New York. Stay here.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.
That Kevin Show.
Here he is from New York. That Kevin McCullough.
Welcome back, and thank you to those of you that have taken this opportunity to call 888-342-1010. That's the number I've been giving you all year, and as many of you, more than 160 of you, have said, "Hey, we're gonna liberate a life this year." Thank you for doing that. We have not been perfect at this, but in the McCullough household over the last 4 years, we have tried. We've made it our goal to, as many times as we can, liberate a slave once every month. We set aside doing other things as we are able to be able to do that. And the reason that we do really is because my sons and daughter heard me talking during the COVID pandemic about the slavery situation in northern Sudan. And they said, "Dad, what are we going to do about that?" And so we, as a family, kind of committed to that. And as I said, as we are able to, God has allowed us to do that more often than not on a monthly basis. I'm not asking you to do anything like that, by the way. If you want to take the 12-month challenge and try to give a slave their liberation every month, that would be great. You just go to bringherhome.org and put that. You can customize how often you give and how you do that. It's right there on the page. It's super simple to do. You can also let the operator know if you call 888-342-1010 if you'd like to make that gift as well. We just had a gift last week of somebody who said, "Kev, I'm so moved by what CSI is doing. I want to liberate 10 slaves." And they gave a 10 slave gift of $2,500. And that means that 10 of those women that were on that list are now going to go home for Christmas. They're going to make this Christmas happen. That person chiming in there with me is Todd Chatman, and he is with the CSI. And that's the thing, Todd, when people really understand the power of this program, it genuinely moves hearts, and they say, "How can I get involved? I want to be involved." And I remember even when you were first told about it, you kind of like scratched your head and was like, how is slavery still happening like this? And yet it is. It's worse than ever before.
Well, yeah, that, and also I had not heard about all of this situation in Sudan. This happened, by the way, this started all back in last century, which makes it sound like a long time ago. And it was. I mean, this started back in the 80s and 90s during that civil war in Sudan. And basically, the targeted people group were African Christians. They were told, you can't be Christian. And militias were allowed to go in and maraud in their villages and take them captive and kill and destroy. And that's how all this started. And so CSI worked early on through the political, channels to try to solve this problem. And we had some good successes there. But what we were not able to do through political channels was to act, we got the slavery stopped. We were able to get them to say,
stopped.
Yeah, got the war stopped, slavery stopped, can't take any more slaves, but we couldn't get them to mandate that they release those slaves. And so then we said, well, someone's got to do that. We've started doing that, and we've been doing it ever since. More than 100,000 slaves liberated. But I had never heard that story before, and I think a lot of people here in America are not aware of how this happened and that it's still a thing. And so we're committed at CSI just to continuing to, thanks to your generous gifts, we're going to keep this going until, Lord willing, all the slaves are freed. But Kevin, it's not as if, let's say there were, 150,000 taken. We don't know exactly. That number has not stayed static. I mean, many were killed, but many who have been there for a long time, they've had children now. And so now we're having to, also try to free subsequent generations of people born into slavery, and we're trying to do that as well. But again, your generous gifts are what make it happen. We do have one more slave liberation coming up before the end of the year. We're doing about 5 a year now, and every time we try to free about 300 slaves. So think about that, 1,500 a year. The only thing holding us back is just funding, and then of course, time. We only have so much time, and that's a time-consuming process. Yeah. But the more money you give, the more people we can free, and that's the most important thing.
Well, and we try to be very intentional about how we do this. And I say we because I feel like I've been part of the CSI family for a long time. Technically, I'm not on their payroll. I am an advocate for them. But here's the thing. And I know that Dr. John Eibner was very happy that the governments of the world got involved and stopped the civil war, stopped the bloodshed, stopped the killing. I know that he was deeply disappointed that his influence in bringing those countries together did not persevere all the way through to getting the slaves liberated. And so it's been a personal passion for the top of CSI, but it's been a corporate passion for the CSI organization as a whole. And for me and for hundreds of others that are involved every single year. And friend, your gift, it sets that captive free, but it does more than that. It gives them the foundation for a new life. That $250, and just listen to what all's in there. The bag of hope is what each slave is given. And when I say we're doing this intentionally, it's not, we don't just bring them back and say, good luck, have fun. No, we take time to help heal them. We take time to listen to them. We take time to figure out where they came from. Many times they only have pieces of their own story left in their head, and we try to find relatives. And when we do get them back to their point of origin, if there are family members, if there are friends, if there are people that remember them, if there's a community that remembers their family, you should see the celebrations that these churches that we work through throw for these women. It is just amazing. And for the ones that we can't put the lives back together completely from their childhood, there are communities of former slaves that now live together as well, which is, I think, a beautiful thing, because who understands better what you've been through than somebody else who's been through it? And to be there, able to practice your Christian faith, able to actively sing hymns of worship to God when you've been banned from doing that the whole time you've been in Islamic slavery. It's just a really incredible thing. But here's what your $250 gift gives them. It gives them a year's worth of food for the first year that they're back. It gives them a year's worth of seed to plant for the next year's worth of food. And from that, they will garner seed for the following year and so forth. So there's an ongoing process that is already kind of locked into place. There's utensils to help them clean and fish and garden and cook. Beyond that, there's bedding, there's tarps, there's things that help keep them insulated from the weather. There may be a variety of special things depending on where they live and what they need. For instance, if they are near a fishing source, more fishing supplies is available and so forth. But then there's also this giving of a she-goat to each one that is liberated, and that she-goat becomes a little micro enterprise. They're able to bear more goats and sell them. And to support themselves, to develop milk and cheese and other things for food base that comes out of that situation as well.
Stick around for more of That Kevin next.